This is a Storm Track 15 Severe Weather Alert.
All right, everybody, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Romano. Happy Fat Tuesday, everybody. Just providing another update as we break into regularly scheduled programming with this powerful line of storms now moving pretty much into the hub city here and throughout the heart of Acadiana, extending basically up from St. Landry Parish through Lafayette Parish down towards Vermilion Parish, now beginning to exit Acadia Parish. And unfortunately, we have severe thunderstorm warnings for some of the more populated areas, including Lafayette. Right now, the biggest threat with this line of storms, straight line winds gusting upwards of 60 miles per hour. This severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 3 o'clock. Now, this is what's rather interesting. The line itself is moving a little bit slower than what I even said about a half an hour ago. Instead of about 35 miles per hour, between 25 and 30 miles per hour. So, right outside the studio, we're dry at the moment, but within the next 5 minutes or so, we're going to see those thunderstorms hammering Lafayette, 246, Breaux Bridge, 254, Abbeville, 311, St. Martinville, and then moving out of the area into Rosedale by 321, at least up to the north and to the east. We're still going to have to contend with those storms impacting potentially New Iberia by about 3:30. So again, the line is moving about 25 to 30 miles per hour to the east. But the individual thunderstorms within that line are moving to the northeast at 75 miles per hour. So the forward momentum of those storms really allows for those straight line winds to develop at the surface, and that's creating the major concern with the strong wind gusts. We're also dealing with a good amount of lightning. Plenty of lightning means that the thunderstorms are rather potent, and that's what we're dealing with right now with this line. Again, just now clearing out of Opelousas, extending down to the southwest. It's been a long day, folks. Eunice, right now, conditions have improved dramatically. Crowley, night and day. In fact, we recorded video from our Crowley Tower camera earlier this afternoon. That's something we're going to show later on. Pretty impressive stuff. And this is some very heavy rainfall rates as this line pushes off to the east, now moving into Lafayette Parish. And I'm telling you, the conditions are going to deteriorate and do so rather rapidly. This is not good driving conditions, to say the least. So I would just hunker down for a little bit. Wait for this line to move on through. It's moving at a decent pace, about 25 to 30 miles per hour to the east. But the thunderstorms within them, these little curlicues, they are lifting up very quickly, about 75 miles per hour. That is extremely fast. So again, as we extend this line down to the southwest, you can see quite a bit of lightning just in the vicinity of Crowley, and again out towards Gaydon, pushing off to the east, and about ready to impact Abbeville here probably in the next 15 to 20 minutes. So again, this is creating some very extensive damage, this line of storms, and you can see the purple outline here. We're looking at the threat of winds gusting upwards of 70 miles per hour, and that's going to inch closer to the Baton Rouge area here within the next hour, 45 minutes to an hour or so. So the line pushing out of northeast Louisiana, but extending right through the heart of Acadiana as we speak. And as we step outside, take a look at the Lafayette Tower Cam, Hub City Tower Cam. Again, things are quiet right now. Give it a few minutes and the conditions are going to deteriorate incredibly quickly. New Iberia, the sky is very dark. Church Point, a lot of rain falling there, but conditions have improved dramatically there. In Crowley, again, it was almost like we were in the middle of a snowstorm, whiteout conditions. Now we're just looking at dark skies because, again, we're looking down to the south with the line in that area. But we're actually going to see sunnier skies developing in Crowley here within the next bit. So radar imagery, Futurecast radar, we do anticipate by 6 o'clock, not only is this line going to push off to the east, but we're also going to see sunnier skies before the sun drops down below the horizon shortly after 6 o'clock this evening. The tornado watch is still in effect until 7 o'clock for a large swath of Acadiana, areas out to the west, including Acadia, as well as Evangeline, Vermilion, Jeff Davis parishes. That's in effect until 3 o'clock. So that will expire here within the next half hour. And obviously, we're still concerned about the possibility of tornadic weather. Now, I understand we haven't had any tornado warnings here in Lafayette in Acadiana quite yet, but we had a tornado warning in effect for Cameron Parish for the possibility of a tornado. And then in the vicinity of Alexandria, there were about 4 or 5 tornado warnings issued earlier today alone. So we've been a little bit on the luckier side so far, but again, as this line moves through the heart of Acadiana, that's why we're looking at that greatest risk of tornadic weather occurring at the moment. High wind warning in effect for all of South Louisiana. That is going to continue even in the wake of these storms because, again, the area of low pressure driving this front through South Louisiana and kicking up these storms is so deep and so strong. It's almost like comparable to a Category 1 or a Category 2 hurricane, dropping down to about 980 millibars. So a very impressive area of low pressure. And as it lifts up those winds, or I should say as it pulls up the winds from the south, they can gust upwards of 60 miles per hour. So at the moment, you can see there is a little bit of a lull behind the line, but the wind's currently gusting to 50 miles per hour in New Iberia, 46 miles per hour in Lafayette, 45 miles per hour in Breaux Bridge, and the line just beginning to move into the hub city as we speak. And these winds are going to continue to hustle and bustle all the way through the nighttime hours, into tomorrow afternoon. So it is going to be a windy stretch across Acadiana. Let's get back to, again, what we're looking at in terms of the severe thunderstorm warning that we have in effect until 3 o'clock as this line pushes on through the area. So here's another look at Doppler radar imagery, and you can see how this line moving right now into the hub city. I'm here in thunder galore outside the studio as we speak, and we'll provide another look at this line. Again, now moving into Lafayette, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the threat of 60 mile per hour wind gusts. This is until 3 o'clock, and again, this line pushing off to the east pretty slowly, 25 to 30 miles per hour, but the embedded thunderstorms within that line racing up to the north end to the east at about 75 miles per hour. Here's another look at the hub city as those storms begin to move into the area, lifting up to the northeast as well as down to the southwest. You can see quite a bit of lightning here right along the Interstate 49 corridor, right around Grand Coteau, Sunset, bisecting Opelousas and Lafayette, and then down to the southwest to the east of Acadiana, pushing out towards the Kaplan area as well. So these storms, no joke, not anything we really want to take lightly, that's for sure. So again, as we take a look at the risks, we're still holding on to the moderate risk of tornadic weather along Interstate 10 and to the north. Hail right now, not a major concern. High winds with this line as it moves through the area. That's a bit of a concern as well. Flooding, not too much of a concern throughout Acadiana. So I'll provide one more look outside from our Hub City Tower Cam. We're going to continue to monitor these storms as they roll through the area. Again, it's a pretty wicked afternoon across the region, and these storms are packing quite the punch. Here's a look outside our Hub City Tower Cam. It'll pop up here in a second. So all quiet right now, but these storms are moving into the region. Hunker down here within the next 15, 20 minutes. Wait for this line to move on through. I'm beginning to hear that rain falling right now, and this picture is going to rapidly, well, not going to improve all that much because, again, the rain is beginning to move in heavily. So, if you are inside or you have any plans to leave, you're dwelling for a little bit, just wait. Wait for this line to move on through because it's not going to be great being on the roads, just outside in general. Winds are really going to ramp up, and that's what we're seeing here. The camera really shaking, and these winds are going to kind of continue here with this line pushing through the area. Again, pretty impressive to see this occur right now. Let's look out. Give me 1 second here. Look out to the west. Here, that's not the forecasted wind gusts that I want to provide. So I'll provide another look at radar imagery. So again, if you're out in Scott, if you're out in Dusant, you're getting hit pretty hard as we speak. So it's it's pretty heavy, and these little notches that we're seeing, pardon me, right here, these little notches in the front, these are the possible areas of rotation that we got to keep a close eye on. Now, I'm not saying that we are contending with any tornadic weather at the moment, but with these thunderstorms lifting up so quickly at about 75 miles per hour, there is the possibility of rotation developing along the line. That's what we saw down in Cameron Parish that allowed for that tornado warning to develop earlier. So again, these storms beginning to move in the hub city as we speak right now. Tremendous amount of lightning up to the north, and we're starting to see a little bit more lightning out to the west as well. But this line, a little sluggish to move in the hub city, but conditions are deteriorating pretty quickly here as we speak. Now there's a little bit of a void out in Breaux Bridge. You can see right along the Interstate 10, the Atchafalaya Basin, things kind of improve a bit, but you go farther to the east, we're dealing with some heavier rain as well. So, driving along Interstate 10, whether you're in the hub city or farther out to the east, it's just really going to be treacherous for the next hour or so. You get past rain, conditions have improved quite a bit. And in fact, I'll show you the Crowley Tower camera, see if we're getting any sunshine that's developing out there, because the cloud deck will kind of clear out of the region once that occurs. So here's a look at our Storm Track 15 camera network. And again, hub city, not looking all that great right now, New Iberia, but actually you could see how just the picture has improved in Crowley. So although we're looking at overcast skies, because keep in mind, the orientation of the storms kind of drifts down to the south and to the west. So we're looking at darker skies to the south of Crowley, but conditions improving, and we're going to see perhaps a little bit of sunshine. Bear with me. I'm also going to try to turn our Church Point Tower cam. Looks like there's a little bit of clearing going on in the distance, even though the clouds are, again, kind of obscuring some of the sunshine that could be occurring. See if we can get some movement there. So again, we're seeing some improvement and maybe a little bit of sunshine developing in Crowley right now as we speak. But, as we take a look at the Hub City Tower cam, it's really shaking out there. And I know a lot of folks out there enjoying Mardi Gras. If you have any friends that are maybe checking out some of the local watering holes on this Fat Tuesday, with the scheduling of the parades being completely different, just, hey, give them a heads up, let them know the rain is on its way. It's going to be really heavy, and it won't last all that long, but it could create kind of a nightmare scenario for those walking around, especially in the vicinity of where the parade ended up. If you're on Bertrand or on Congress, if you're on College, South College or North College technically, or Johnson, that area, there's a number of local watering holes. You just kind of want to heed cover as these storms roll through that particular area. So here's another look at radar imagery. And, again, I apologize if I'm being a little bit, kind of talking a little too much here, but we got to keep a close eye on these storms, because there are so many people that are out and about on this Fat Tuesday, even though the festivities have been canceled throughout the region. You just got to make sure that you're safe and sound. The severe thunderstorm warning, again, continuing until 3 o'clock, includes Acadia, Lafayette, St. Landry, St. Martin parishes, as well as the far northern portion of Vermilion Parish. This is until 3 o'clock, with winds potentially gusting upwards of 60 miles per hour. So get in your safe place. I'm going to provide another update here with this route, because, again, the storm's moving into the hub city, but this line pushing off to the east. You can hear a little bit of thunder outside our studio right now. So here's another squall line that we have for you guys. We'll go right along that line. Again, moving, I'll be a little bit more conservative, 25 miles per hour. So again, moving into Abbeville at 247, Broussard at 257, St. Martinville at 317, New Iberia at 329, so just around the 330 mark, and then Lydia at 341, just to the southeast of New Iberia. And here's a closer look at these storms. So again, I'm looking at some pretty impressive, rainfall rates throughout Acadiana with these storms rolling through the region. Give me 1 second. Need to save this to make sure we're good to go. Okay. And as far as rotation, because not only are we looking at on the computer, but also I have a number of apps on my phone I'm looking at it. The good news is I'm not really seeing any areas of rotation, at least concerned, that's providing any concerns for myself. So that's some good news. But at the same time, This is a really potent line, and it's going to drop a decent amount of rain, probably anywhere between a ½ an inch to an 1.5 inches of rain as it moves into the area, and it's going to do that within about a half-hour time frame. So rainfall rates about 1 to 3 inches, maybe about 1 to 2 inches with this rain as it slides through the area, and we could be dealing with some ponding on some of the area roadways, and those areas that are more susceptible to small-scale flooding, that's what we could be dealing with. It's a low risk, but it does exist. And again, that's what we're dealing with in terms of radar activity. This line slowly pushing off to the east. And again, let's see if we can go through what a difference. So that's our Hub City tower cam right now, rocking and rolling. It's kind of got into a black and white mode. And it sounds like we might have a little bit of a leak inside the studio. So yeah, anytime it goes in a black and white mode, that means the visibilities are so poor it kind of switches the iris, and that's what we're dealing with right now. Incredible. And actually, I'll make that off our full screen. Really quite the sight to see how bad conditions are getting here in Lafayette. So here is our Hub City tower cam. There we go. So unbelievable to see that occur right now as we speak. And I mean, the visibilities have gotten so poor, not only can you not see the Cajun Dome, can barely see down to Landry. So, you know, the intersection with Bertrand is kind of in this vicinity right in that area. So, you know, we're about a quarter of a mile, maybe a half a mile down from that intersection. I might be off a bit, but again, it's not really all that long and all that far, I should say. And, you know, it's just incredibly difficult. So visibility's dropping very low because of the heavy rainfall that we're seeing throughout within this line, and now it's impacting Lafayette as we speak right now. So again, just to kind of expand our Storm Track 15 camera network, you know, we have what we're dealing with right now in Lafayette. Crowley improving. In fact, on the right side of your screen here, you might notice that we're actually seeing brighter conditions because, again, behind that line, there really isn't that much cloud cover. Church Point, conditions improving there. Unfortunately, in New Iberia, we're looking out to the west, and you can see how those skies still very dark in New Iberia, and conditions are going to go downhill. It's going to take a little bit of time for that to occur, but again, this line is moving at a decent rate, 25 to 30 miles per hour. But the area of concern is the fact that we're dealing with stronger thunderstorms that are moving so quickly within that line. So again, here's another look at that line of storms. And again, the line itself is shifting off to the east. But if you've been watching some of the cut-ins that I provided earlier today, I talked about how we were worried about the possibility of supercell development. We're actually switching from a bit of a line to now where it's becoming a bit more jagged, and the upper level components are now interacting with this line of storms, and it's beginning to shift it a little bit. And so this is when the tornado threat will really start to ramp up. Now, look, we're going to miss the boat here in terms of tornadic weather here in the Hub City, but I'm really concerned about areas towards New Orleans as we head into tonight, where they could be really dealing with some threatening tornadic weather. But you can kind of see how in Vermilion Parish, especially with this cluster as it moves on shore, how there's a pretty decent notch to it and almost like a little bit of a rotation here. This is all lifting up in that direction, and this is something we're going to be watching. I talked about the storms in Baton Rouge, outside of Baton Rouge. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning. Granted, it's outside our viewing area. The purple outline indicates winds gusting upwards of 70 miles per hour with that line. So it's just outside our region. But again, as this line pushes off to the east, it's going to change. And that's going to allow for tornadic weather potentially to develop. Now, look, fortunately for us, it probably won't happen until it pushes off maybe farther out to the east. Areas in New Iberia, down towards Jeanneret. This is something we're going to be watching very, very closely over the next hour or so. Granted, these storms are going to push out of the region altogether by about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and that's going to lead to quieter conditions this evening. But right now, as this line pushes on through, we're still contending with severe weather impacting the more populated areas of Acadiana. So again, I've said this before, got to reiterate what we're talking about here in case you're just missing or you're just tuning in right now. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 3 o'clock. Now, this might sound like your run-of-the-mill severe thunderstorm warning, but also at the same time, keep in mind, it's Fat Tuesday. It's a holiday. It's a big holiday for South Louisiana standards. There are a lot of people that are out and about. They're probably not home, considering, granted, there's a number of parades. Yes, they were canceled. Yes, we had a number of festivities that were interrupted. But nonetheless, there's still people taking advantage of the fact that it's Mardi Gras. So there are a lot of folks out there. We're still dealing with severe weather impacting those populated areas. This line pushing off to the east, the line itself, 25 to 30 miles per hour, but the thunderstorms embedded in that line sliding up to the northeast at 75 miles per hour. That is extremely fast for thunderstorms to move. So that also speaks about the low-level winds that are really pushing those thunderstorms. And sometimes with the heavy rain that we're seeing, that forces those winds down to the surface, and that could create some extremely strong wind gusts across the region. So breaking down the timeline, Broussard at 2:57. That's within the next 5 to 10 minutes. St. Martinville at 3:17. New Iberia at 3:29. Lydia at 3:41. So we're going to stay on the air here, wait for this line to push off to the east of Lafayette. It has improved dramatically as we head up into Opelousas and along the I-49 corridor. Once you get towards Grand Coteau and Sunset there, we're starting to see some improving conditions as well. Out towards Dusant, still raining a little bit, but that rain beginning to move out of the area. And rain, we're dealing with quieter conditions as well. Crowley, obviously, we've seen those conditions improve quite a bit. But along 167, if you're driving from Lafayette past the mall all the way down towards Maurice, it is unpleasant to say the least. And again, this continues down to the south through the heart of Vermilion Parish, moving into Abbeville as we speak. Now again, we're not seeing any tornadic weather, but the jaggedness of this line here is a little concerning. And I'll take another check here as we take a look. Again, the purple outline with that thunderstorm to the northwest of Acadiana, that indicates some winds gusting upwards of 70 miles per hour. So I'm not seeing any rotation within the line that we're looking at locally, but the winds are still ripping and roaring throughout the area. Take a look at our Hub City Tower Cam. Look at Church Point. We're actually seeing blue skies right now. So again, once we get rid of this line, we're going to see things improve dramatically across the area. I feel like I've been saying certain words like dramatically and contend quite a bit. So, we're keeping a close eye. We're going to try to see some improvement here in Lafayette. But again, as we take a look at our Hub City Tower Cam, the visibility has improved with that rain kind of lightening up to some extent. We can kind of see the intersection in the distance, really having a hard time seeing the Cajun Dome. But it's raining really hard, and that driver out there probably ain't having a good time. You could actually see the water that's getting kicked up behind or in the draft of that vehicle. So otherwise, as we take a look at Futurecast, this line of storms pushing out of the area, and we're looking at quite a bit of clearing occurring between now and sunset once we can get rid of this line of storms. So right now we're not dealing with any tornadic weather locally. That's some good news. The timeline still hasn't changed. I'll provide an update with that right now. We still have the tornado watch in effect, although right now it does look like things are improving. We've canceled the tornado watch out to our west. So that means just for areas basically along Interstate 49 and Highway 90. That's where the tornado watch will continue until 7 o'clock. So for Evangeline, Jeff Davis, Vermilion, Acadia, they didn't even allow that tornado watch to expire. They actually canceled it beforehand. So that's some good news, but we're still dealing with the high wind warning. This is going to get chipped away slowly but surely as well. We're still dealing with the heightened risk with the tornado outlook throughout Acadiana. But in terms of the high wind warning, that's not going away anytime soon, with gusts still potentially upwards of 60 miles per hour. Right now, we're looking at gusts about 45 miles per hour in Lafayette and Breaux Bridge, 27 miles per hour in New Iberia. But we've already seen reports of gusts over 50 miles per hour, both New Iberia as well as in Cade. There is a little bit of a void here in the wind gusts in the wake of the line, directly behind the wake of the line. But again, those winds are going to ramp up pretty quickly once again as we head into tonight, because the winds are going to turn to out of the west and northwest. That's eventually going to usher in some cooler air. But even as we head into tomorrow, we're still looking at blustery conditions. So again, we're still contending with heavy rain here in the hub city. I'll take another look at radar imagery, and we'll stay on the air here for about another 5 minutes. Once a severe thunderstorm comes to an end, then I'll provide a little bit of a break. So a tremendous amount of lightning with this line of storms as it pushes off to the east. We're still maintaining this severe thunderstorm warning until 3 o'clock. So, again, this is not a slow moving system. And in fact, you could already see the back end of this line kind of pushing through Lafayette as we speak. But the severe thunderstorm warning will continue until 3 o'clock for Acadia, Lafayette, St. Landry, portions of St. Martin parishes as well, and even a small sliver of Vermilion parish. This will become outdated, and we'll likely see another severe thunderstorm warning issued down to the south, perhaps including maybe New Iberia, maybe Jeanerette. My line of thinking is that we'll probably see areas of Upper St. Martin, maybe St. Mary Parish, maybe Iberia Parish. So again, this line, I'm going to provide one more update with this line as it slowly slides off to the east at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. So this one a bit outdated as we sit at 256 at the moment. Right now, this line pushing off to the east at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. So, again, this is just something we're watching very closely. So Erath, 305, you're going to be under the gun. St. Martinville, 315. New Iberia, 328. That's not that much of a difference from what we were saying. So with the consistency in our timeline indicates that this line, we have an accurate idea of how quickly this line is moving. And the line itself pushing off to the east at 30 miles per hour, embedded thunderstorms within this line lifting up to the northeast at about 75 miles per hour. So Lydia at 352, Sippermore Point at about 354. So again, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for about the next couple of minutes. And then in terms of a zoomed in location of what we're dealing with, that you might have heard that lightning. Now, fortunately, we're seeing the heavy cells moving out of St. Landry Parish and then up to the north, Breaux Bridge in Upper St. Martin Parish, so moving out towards Krotz Springs. But this is an area of concern with, it looks like some strengthening with this specific thunderstorm as it lifts up to the north and to the east. Could create some tornadic weather, perhaps as it moves northeast of Krotz Springs. And then obviously we're still dealing with plenty of lightning here in Lafayette. And speaking of which, I'll show you a tower cam here in a second. So now the heaviest of the rain moving into the Abbeville area. Still lightning on the back side of this line of storm. So although the rain is coming to an end, just wait for this line to push off a little bit farther to the east if you have plans to be outside for an extended period of time, because we're still dealing with some lightning flashes. By the way, anytime you see these marks, these are cloud to ground lightning strikes, not cloud to cloud. So anytime we're dealing with that, obviously it's extremely dangerous to be outside when we're dealing with multiple strikes of lightning in a small vicinity. So again, this line is moving eastward. Conditions improving here as we speak in the hub city. And you can see that down to the south in Vermilion Parish, we're already starting to see that line move through the heart of the parish. So here's another look at our Storm Track 15 camera network. Give me a second. It'll load up here in a bit. So drier conditions prevailing here in the hub city, 73 degrees at the moment. What a picture, night and day, right? So we're looking at the Cajun Dome right now. We can actually see it, but if you look closely, it's a little difficult. You'll see some fogginess here along the horizon. That's the heavy rain. You can actually see that even more evidently on the right side of your screen with that rain. When we expand our Storm Track 15 camera network, it looks like we had a few more clouds move back into the picture in Church Point. But throughout the region, we do anticipate sunnier skies developing before the sun drops down below the horizon in a little over 3 hours from now. Temperature still pretty warm, low 70s throughout the area. The wind gusts still very high. Obviously, we're looking at our Hub City Tower cam right now, and it's 73. The wind's currently whipping around at 23 miles per hour, and this line will push off to the east, and conditions, well, are going to clear out as we work our way towards sunset. We still have that tornado watch until 7 o'clock. That's not a major concern, at least across the northern half of where that tornado watch is extended. Let's see, we have reports of some thunderstorm wind damage near Carencro. It does look like some 1-inch tree limbs were broken and some shingles were blown off. That's near the Carencro area. So that's according to the National Weather Service. Let me see if I have anything else here. Not at the moment. So again, as we, let's see, what else do I want to show you before we cut this short? So again, it's right around 3 o'clock. I do believe that our severe thunderstorm warning has come to an end. And with that, it has. So this line is going to continue to push off to the east, again, about 25 to 35 miles per hour. We'll keep a close eye on a severe weather threat. We'll keep a close eye on the tornado threat. At this point, again, if you have friends and family, conditions improving pretty quickly here in the hub city, and they will continue to do so in the wake of this line. A lot of folks are enjoying Mardi Gras. For our friends down to the south end of the east, we're far from out of the woods. The line of storms moving in your direction now. Again, if we're looking at the threat for tornadic weather, we'll break into regularly scheduled programming. But for our friends here in Lafayette, the back end of the line, moving through the area, good news for a lot of folks. And slowly but surely, we'll see sunnier skies developing by the end of this day. At this point, we'll return you to regularly scheduled programming. If we have any other concerns, we'll be sure to let you know. Be safe, everybody. Happy Mardi Gras.
This has been a Storm Track 15 weather alert. Stay with News 15 for more weather updates.